Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be discussing today's NASCAR race at Las Vegas Speedway. We have the Penzoil 400, and it starts at 2:47 Central Time, where that's when it locks. With that being said, we will break down the salary ranges here. First up, in the 10K plus range, we got Kyle Larson starting in the second position at 11K. Then we got Denny Hamlin in the 28th positions at 10.7. William Byron is at 10.5, starting in the 4th position. Ryan Blaney is at 10.2 in the 15th position, and Logano is on the pole at 10K flat. Out of this range, I'm sure Denny Hamlin is going to be extremely popular just because he's starting in the 28th position. Additionally, in this range, I like Ryan Blaney. He's been doing pretty well on intermediate tracks recently, and his 15th starting position is a nice middle of the pack where he might go under owned at this price, and so I like him as a pivot off of Hamlin in this range. But overall, if I were to rank these drivers, Blaney would be first just because of his position out of these five. Second would be Kyle Larson, and third would be Denny Hamlin just because of his position towards the back. Kyle Larson is a great driver at Las Vegas, and William Byron has been hot to start the year and going into last year. So I also like him, but he's my fourth pick out of this group of drivers. So with that, we'll move on to the 9K range. We got Chase Elliott starting in the 11th position at 9,800. Kyle Busch starting in the 21st position at 9,700. Christopher Bell starting in the 10th position at 9,500. Martin Truex Jr. at 9,300 starting in the 7th position. And Ross Chastain in the 20th position starting at 9,100. Out of this group, so one thing I want to mention, Kyle Busch starting 21st. He has mastered this track almost. In his 25 races here in the Cup Series, he has 12 top 5 finishes, which is kind of insane to keep up that that percentage of high finishes, especially in racing when accidents can happen or tires can blow, anything can really happen. So that's pretty impressive. And in the 21st position, I'm sure he's going to be pretty popular. At least that's my thought on it. Also, one thing I wanted to mention, pricing is definitely tighter this week. I think there's more playroom to build lineups, but I think more people are higher priced this week, and we'll have to find low owned pivots or go balanced if that's the case. Elsewise, in this group, honestly, no one really attracts me. Chastain did well last week. But this group is just kind of a no-go for me other than Kyle Busch. I just don't really see them doing that well here at this track. It's for Chase Elliott and Christopher Bell, they're young drivers. They've driven there before and they can succeed. I just don't necessarily feel a certain way about them as compared to other drivers. They're okay. There's nothing wrong with them. I just would prefer other options. If I were to rank my top 3 in this range, Kyle Busch number 1, number 2 would be Chase Elliott, and number 3 probably would be Chastain, just because the pricing is lower than the others, and he's in the middle of the pack, and has chance to go drive towards the front. But with that, we'll move on to the 8K range. We got Tyler Reddick at 8,900, starting in the 18th position. Bubba Wallace starting 5th at 8,700. Brad Keselowski starting in the 25th position at 8,500. Chris Buescher in the 9th position at 8,300. And Alex Bowman starting 23rd at 8,100. Out of this group, Tyler Reddick is someone I'm extremely interested in. I think people will see his price and avoid him. I think people will think it's too high. And I believe he has wrecked in the last 2 races. So he is someone that I am looking at as a bounce back candidate this week, as well as he was pretty fast in practice. Even though he starts 18th, I think the long-term speed is there for him, as well as Bubba Wallace. He qualified well, but also had a high average lap time over consecutive laps. And he's a contrarian option, I think, today, starting in the 5th position at 8,700. So he's someone I'm interested in. And then Brad Keselowski, again, DNF the last 2 starts, but he has drove really well at Las Vegas. He has, I believe it's tied with Logano for the most wins here at Las Vegas at 3 total. That or it's the poles. I'm not for sure, but I think it's the wins. Either way, he has a lot of success here, and for him starting in the 25th position, I think he will probably be popular. But then again, he has DNF'd the last 2 weeks, so I'm not sure if people are going to be scared away by that. So that will be an interesting thing to look at as the day goes on. And so ranking these 3, obviously I'll go Reddick, Wallace, Keselowski. I don't mind Bowman. He has been racing well ever since returning or becoming healthy from his back injury. And then Buescher is fine. He's probably going to be low owned at this price and starting position out of the people around him, so I don't mind taking a shot on him. With that, we'll move to the 7K range. We got last week's winner, Daniel Suarez, starting in the 16th position at 7,800. Ty Gibbs follows behind at 7,600, starting in the 8th position. Eric Jones starting 22nd at 7,400. Michael McDowell starting 12th at 7,200. And Austin Cindric in the 3rd qualifying position at 7K flat. This group is a mishmash of drivers. Honestly, there really isn't anyone that stands out to me other than Suarez. He kind of flies under the radar every week. It's just if he can stay out of trouble or not. With him starting 16th, I think that gives him enough leverage on the field to be low owned. I mean, he did win last week, so he might carry some extra ownership due to that. But I don't think many people are going to click his name considering he's starting 16th at 7,800. That's just, I guess, my view on him or with the slate, but I would have interest in him out of any of these 5 people. Ty Gibbs at 7,600, starting 8th. You know, I'm not really interested in that, nor am I interested in McDowell or Cindric. I mean, Jones, I think people would go to Jones over Suarez in this range, especially with it being 6 positions further back in the field and only $400 cheaper. I think people would prefer Jones over Suarez. So, with that being said, out of this range, if I'm ranking them, first, Daniel Suarez, second, Eric Jones, and Third would be Ty Gibbs. I just think he has more upside than McDowell overall. And so with that, we'll move to the 6K range. We got John Hunter Nemechek starting in the 27th position at 6,700. Oh, missed Austin Dillon at 6,800. He is starting 19th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starting 13th at 6,500. Chase Briscoe starting 6th at 6,400. Corey LaJoie, 6,300, starting 17th. Noel Gragson in the 30th position at 6,200. Josh Berry, 6,100 at the 26th position. And Ryan Preece starting 36th at 6K. I believe in this range, Ryan Preece is going to be absolutely over-owned just because he is starting towards the back. He hasn't had awful finishes. He is someone that I'm going to look at, but if the ownership is there, I'm going to pivot. Noah Gragson is interesting. I think caught up in a wreck at last week and was racing well ever since he's returning from his unfortunate social media incident. He has been driving better, so I think the time off has helped him. It'll be interesting to see kind of how the season turns out for him. John Hunter Nemechek has raced well so far this season. Got a price increase. I'm not sure how popular he'll be, but he's someone I'm looking at. If I were to rank this range, Priest would be number 1, number 2 would be Gragson, number 3 would be Nemechek out of my preferred plays. We'll move to the final range, which is the 5K range. We got Todd Gilliland at 3,100 at at the 31st starting position at 5,900. Carson Hocevar at the 14th position starting at 5,800. Zane Smith starting 24th at 5,700. Daniel Hemrick starting 34th at 5,500. Harrison Burton starting 29th at 5,400. Justin Haley starting 35th at 5,300. Derek Kraus making his first start of the season. Kaz Grala starting 32nd at 5,100. And JJ Yaley rounding out the back of the field at 5K in the 37th position. Now this is an interesting range. I think there is a ton of value here. Todd Gilliland, 3,100. I know he has DNF'd the last 2 races, or at least I'm not sure if last race he DNF'd or just got lapped. However, he's led laps. He's been at the front in the first 2 races of the season. Same price. This week, starting in the back again like he was Daytona. I think he is a better pivot off of Priest, but I do certainly like him in this range. Zane Smith is someone I am looking at. I know at Atlanta last week, got caught in an accident, but at Daytona, raced well. He has racing experience. He's a low-owned guy that I'm looking at this week as someone I have interest in, and I believe, if I'm remembering right, he had one of the top 5 practice times. So his car might be better than we are expecting. Daniel Hemrick, 3,400. Solid play. He starts. What does he start? 34th. At Daytona, started 37th, got into top 20. Last week, started 26th at Atlanta, made the top 20. Good, solid race car driver, has Cup experience. This is his second time back in the series. I think he is a good play down here. Justin Haley got caught in the wreck at Daytona, which allowed him or pushed him towards the back of those cars still available to drive. Last week, top 20 finish at Atlanta. He is just a solid driver. I know he's starting in the 35th position, but he's not the 31st worst driver in the field, I can tell you that. I would say he gets a top 25. You should at least. At least that's what I expect out of him. Kaz Grala, 14th last week. He got caught in the wreck at Daytona. He is starting 32nd. I mean, there's a ton of plays down here that I think have upside to, get into the top 20, get those place differential points. So then you can pay up for some of those higher priced drivers. With that being said, I think this is going to be a great race this week. I think the pricing has been done really well for DraftKings. Yeah, I'm really excited to watch the race. And so, yeah, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel. I will be releasing a in-depth article on my Patreon later today before the race, just kind of identifying a few targets that I am looking at for tournaments. And with that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a good rest of your evening.